there, glad you could join me. I'm just sitting here by the electronic fire reading a copy of my favorite book and one of the books that changed my life, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and it was originally published in 1943 by Harcourt Publishing. This happens to be the 2000 edition that was translated into English from French by Richard Howard. This book changed my life in the 9th grade, where I read it in my 9th grade accelerated English class. Miss Harrington, our teacher, had told us that she had wanted us to read this book, and as soon as we opened it, we noticed that it had pictures. And it had a lot of pictures, and some of them were in black and white, and some of them were in color. And what we started thinking was, why are we reading a children's book? This has pictures in it. This is a little kid book. We're in high school. We're supposed to be grown. But as I began to read the words, I finally understood that this was going to be a book that had a major impact on me. Even though this book is coffee stained and a little beat up, I enjoy keeping it just because of the sentimental value that this book has for me, especially with it being the first copy I've ever owned. There is a pop-up edition of this book that I would love to buy, but I have to have $30 extra money lying around in order to do that. My initial opinions and feelings about it were as I previously stated. Why are we reading a children's book? Why are there illustrations in here if this is not a book for kids? Indeed, it is a book for children, but it has a more intellectual level than that. I'd like to read you an excerpt. One day, I saw the sunset 44 times, and a little later, the little prince added, "You know, when you're feeling very sad, sunsets are wonderful." On the day of the 44 times, I asked, "Were you feeling very sad?" But the little prince didn't answer. It really shows that emotions are valuable, and people will go through different emotions. There will be sadness, there will be happiness, there will be anger, and it's important to respect all of those emotions. The little prince showed the pilot that, yes, emotions are important, and yes, even though I feel happy all the time, I'm really not. Sometimes I feel sad. The first one that I owned or borrowed was this book. This is actually the first edition I ever owned. As I said before, this is the 2000 edition that was translated into English by Richard Howard. And I continue to keep this book just because I love it. Even though some people tell me, wow, you need a different edition because this one's just a little bit beat up. The book changed me as a person because it let me know that children's literature can have an impact and it can have a really great influence. I'd like to read you another excerpt. This details when the prince was visiting various planets, searching for a planet that he could live on that may have some value. This first one that he gets to is inhabited by a king. The first one was inhabited by a king, wearing purple and ermine. He was sitting on a simple yet majestic throne. "Ah, here's a subject," the king exclaimed when he caught sight of the little prince. And the little prince wondered, how can he know who I am if he's never seen me before? He didn't realize that for kings, the world is extremely simplified. All men are subjects. And this kind of teaches the little prince and the reader that it's important to respect all people. That some people just see the world as black and white, subjects and non-subjects. But that's not what life's about. Life's about seeing all the different people and all the emotions and the stories that come with them. Really kind of breaks the mold for a piece of children's literature, I would say. This book impacted my overall intellectual development as it still has an impact on me. This is my favorite children's book. I, as a children's librarian, read a ton of children's literature, and this has still remained one of my favorite books. I wanted to thank you for joining me this fine night by the crackling fire on the TV screen. And I also hope that if you haven't joined The Little Prince on a Journey yet, please check out this book from your local library or buy a copy by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It actually is a classic, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. Thank you for joining me on the book that changed my life.